in the corner.
Okay. Let's give it a minute to see if Harry is going to join us.
Okay. All right. Yeah, sometimes 5:30 can be hard for him.
Yeah. Okay. Ginny's going to tell me when she's ready.
Okay. Be nice when we can get
Ready? Okay.
doing this again in
Why don't we
person.
start? Because Ginny's ready. You want to start, Ginny?
Okay.
Okay, she's starting. Why
It
don't we
looks like
start with-
Harry's, it looks
Oh,
like
Harry's
Harry's
in.
coming on now.
Okay, let's just give it one more second.
Yep, here he is.
Hello,
Hey,
Hi,
Harry.
Harry.
there we go.
Hey,
There you
you're
are.
cutting a little close there, my friend.
I know. I had a little trouble from it wanted me to, I don't know, it wanted to
Yeah.
email and everything. And
Mm.
Okay, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Mhm.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for
one
which
nation,
it stands,
under God,
one nation,
indivisible,
under God,
liberty,
indivisible,
justice.
with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So did you miss me, Harry?
I did.
Yeah, I bet you did. So, we called to order, all the members are present. I just wanted to bring you up to date on one thing. Today, we got notification that we have had one more death in town. Somebody who contracted the virus about 3 weeks ago and passed away within the past couple days. That would make 9 total deaths in Brookfield. That brings our total cases up to 203. This would be 6 we've had reported this month, which is good. We had 25, I believe, last month of reported cases. So Brookfield is doing pretty well, but it is sad to see that somebody else has passed away. And just reiterates the fact that you can't be too careful. You have to watch this. You have to maintain the masks and do all those sorts of things. I know we've had significant concern. I've gotten a bunch. I don't know if you guys have concern from residents about the Still River Greenway in particular, that people are not being safe on the Greenway, that they're not wearing masks, and that some people are being aggressive about not wearing masks. And the way one resident put it to me in an email, they said it almost feels political, that people are taking sides. The governor has just issued an executive order that now allows towns and various facilities to fine people if they do not wear masks, up to $100. There are other fines for having parties and groups and things like that that go up to $1,000. But we really do want people to wear masks on the Still River Greenway and at the high school after school is closed. You know, we put up signs there. There were people trying to use the high school during school, and you just can't do that. The schools can't have, non-school people on their grounds. So we're creating signs that say you may be subject to a $100 fine. We'll put them up at the Greenway at the high school, and hopefully that will help bring this down. The second issue that we're running into there, it's not the same, but now that it's getting colder, a lot of the restaurants want to continue to have outside service, but put up walls, right? And if you put up too many walls, it becomes inside service, right? Yeah. And also heating it can be a problem. And we're going through it now. We're expecting some further direction coming down from the state fire marshal to give us, the propane heaters, that the tall ones that radiate down. We don't think that they're allowed indoors. And if you have 4 walls and a tent, that's indoors, no doubt about it. So we're waiting for further guidance there. We do want restaurants to be able to continue to serve people. And I'm going to have our fire marshal and our building officials suggest to people, because we did this, Cullen got married last October, and we had a tent and it had walls and it did get cold. And we had a heater that goes into the corner, just the outlet goes into the corner of the tent. and the heater is outside the tent and it's electric, and you just plug it in and it blows warm air into the tent. And it worked great. You know, it took the chill off. So I wonder why people wouldn't do that. That's what I would do, rather than having to mess with propane and take that chance, because there's no fumes and you can't have those heaters indoors.
I
Right.
have to question the blowing of the air, though. I mean, one of the problems that they were seeing was ventilation within buildings, and they've asked buildings to, revent, add more circulation of the air and all that. I wonder how that would affect.
I don't know. It would be taking outside air and blowing it through the tent. So I don't know if that's
But blowing it
safer or
on
more
people,
dangerous.
yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
when we
Blowing
got
it past
it,
people, going from one group to another.
I don't know. And the one we got was on the ground. So it was about a foot tall and about 3 feet wide, the outlet. So it was blowing it across the grass, which then
So-
normally rises up.
Along the
The heat
feet.
rises. It
Mhm.
killed about 6 feet of my grass by 3 feet because it cooked it. But it
Mhm.
seemed to work pretty well. But we're just going to look into that, and
Yeah.
ask people to look into it. I don't know if it's safer or not.
Steve, right now, the restaurants can have indoor service as long as they are social distancing, correct?
They have to serve food and
Yeah.
social distance.
Yeah.
So you can't just go to O'Connor's Pub, sit down and get a beer.
Right, right.
Have
Well,
to
I
go
mean,
and
well,
eat.
that would eliminate, I mean, if they want to put up plastic walls, like the tents
Yeah.
with plastic walls,
Right.
I don't see an issue with that as long as they're, serving food and keeping their distance.
Yeah, I think it's limited to 25% of capacity,
Right,
right?
Right.
Regardless of how many people. So
right.
O'Connor's would go every third table and every third or fourth chair at the bar. We have had this problem with a couple of the establishments, particularly the bars, where you can't just serve beer. It's Monday night
That's
football.
state. That's
Yeah.
That's a
You
state
got-
mandate.
You got to have food. So
Why is that, Steve?
I don't know. That's why I think to
Bars
limit
aren't
the
open.
number of people and to make sure that people weren't congregating, just going to a bar for Monday night football,
Yeah,
right?
Because bars themselves are closed. So it wouldn't be fair to say a
Right.
bar couldn't open, but you can go to a restaurant and just sit there and have a drink.
Correct, right. So, and all of these orders have been extended now to November 9th, which I think is a good thing. We still need to be very careful. In speaking of that, I wanted to talk to you guys about this, is that we're currently planning on opening Town Hall October 8th, I believe it is, that Monday,
Mhm.
right? And we will open it, and here's the order. One, we still want you to go online or call if you need services, as we do now. Second, we would like you to make an appointment to come in with the department you want to speak to, which we're doing right now. And third, we will then allow people to walk in. However, appointments take priority over walk-ins. So if we have appointments at 9, 9:15, 9:45, 10, 10:15, 10:30 for land use, and you come in at 9 o'clock, walk in, you're going to have to wait till all those appointments are done or there's an open space. With the exception of the town clerk, we're anticipating we got about 80% of people voted in the primary by mail. So we anticipate we're going to get upwards of 8,000 ballots. Now, when people, we'll have applications for ballots at the front desk so people can come in and just take an application. They can also get it online. And then we think we're going to be getting 8,000 we have to mail out 8,000 ballots. It's all being put together by hand. It's coded. There are numbers on every single ballot. We've had to hire a couple of extra people just to help manage the paperwork and the flow. And we'll be sending 8,000 packages of ballots, which are envelopes, the ballot, the outside envelope. It's pretty involved. And then when they come back in, we have to track every single one of them again in the town clerk's office. And then on election day, we give them to the registrars. And the registrars will start counting them. And hopefully the state will allow us to start counting first thing in the morning on
Steve,
election day.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were through.
I'm
Uh,
sorry, go ahead, Harry.
Unless I'm missing something, why are we now allowed to do a vote by mail, yet we couldn't do our town referendum by mail? The town,
Because the governor added the COVID-19 as a reason for absentee balloting. Right?
but I mean,
Now, we probably could do a referendum by mail.
yeah, I meant the, but I said referendum, I meant the town.
Well,
you know,
same thing, the town budget.
Yeah.
We probably, if it came to that next year, we probably could do that because you're just walking into the high school or Huckleberry. So people could request a ballot for that. But there are still some things like the capital budget, we either have to have a vote or a town meeting on.
Right.
And that's why our capital budget is still not approved.
Right.
I have to say, when it was budget time too, it was early on with all this COVID, and
Yep.
we were still really, feeling our way along.
Yeah, and the governor said there's not going to be enough time to do all of this paperwork. So the boards can approve without a referendum.
Right.
Because this is a lot of work. To get 8,000 ballots out and back in is, we estimate something like 8,000 man hours. If it takes, 5 minutes per item, and we have to touch it 3 times, when the application comes in, then when it goes back out, and then when it comes back in and gets calculated by the registrars. And this is all manual. So what we're saying is we will open town hall for walk-ins with the exception of the town clerk's office because they are inundated.
So these upcoming elections will be by mail-in or hand-in only, correct?
No. We're still going to have walk-in voting.
Oh, okay.
Still go to the high school. You can still go to Huckleberry.
Okay.
But if the primary is any indicator, 80% of people did it by mail.
Yeah.
And we think that's going to hold for the election too.
Oh, and I would imagine the number of people who voted for the primary was much smaller
Yeah,
than what this is going to be.
It was easily managed. It was not a big deal.
Yeah.
But we'll get between 90 and 95% of our voters, 11,000 some odd people, voting in the presidential.
Yeah. It was
Where we
nice to have that
normally-
trial run though, to see how it would work out.
Yeah,
Get
it seemed to work
the
pretty
kinks.
well. It worked pretty well with the primary, but the proof is in the pudding. In the presidential, we're going to get virtually every single voter to vote. So we have to be ready. And my guess is if we do get 8,000 mail-in ballots, if they do not allow us to start counting them first thing in the morning, we set aside a room in the high school where all of these will be counted because we need a big space. You can imagine 8,000 envelopes like this will take up a fair amount of space. We need it secure, we need it locked, we need it both air conditioned and heated in case it's a very hot day or a very cold day. So we set up a room at the high school. We've got an agreement to get a room there where they will count all of the absentee ballots because it could, who knows, it could take a couple days. I don't know. I don't know how long it will take. I do not believe we'll have if they don't let us start counting them until 8 o'clock at night when the polls close, I don't think there's any way we're going to get 8,000 counted by 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I don't think they would let you start before. I can't
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah. So it could be 2 or 3 days before we get the final results. And I know we have the staff, we're completely set, we're ready to go. But given this amount, we have to have the security, we have to have people watching, you have to have at least 2 people looking at every single ballot at all times. You can't have one person alone with a ballot. So we're doing all of those things. So our staff, I think, is fully capable and is going to do a good job on this. And we've done a lot of work to prep for it, but to be prepared because we cannot not send out the absentee ballots and then take them back in and register them as received. So the town clerk's office is going to be by appointment only and by phone until after the election. We just can't have 60 people a day coming in. I don't think that would happen, but that's the only office we're not going to allow walk-ins.
Right.
And I think that's the right thing to do. And I wanted to get your feel on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have to put all their effort into that, into the election, the
Yeah.
counting. So
Yeah. Or primarily, we're still doing all the recordings of deeds and things like that. But, we do get a lot of people come in, just have a question. They want to ask, something that we could answer by phone or by online, or they want to fill a form out or apply for something, we're suggesting that people do it online, call in, we'll send you the form if we need to. Just
So
don't
Steve-
come in.
So Steve, if the town clerk's office is going to be dedicating to the voting, who is going to answer the emails and the online?
No. They're gonna do both. We're just not gonna allow people to walk in and take a half an hour of somebody's time with a question.
My point was, do we need to maybe try to find them some help for that week? I mean, somebody to,
Yeah, no, Harry, that's a good point. We've already done that. We've hired
oh,
people
okay,
because it's already starting right now.
okay,
I know my family got the absentee ballot requests yesterday. And I think most people in town got them yesterday or will get them today. And we're going to see them go through the roof. I watched 6 people drop off their applications in the ballot box outside today. And I was just walking by,
Yeah.
going in and out. So yeah, it starts from now until after the election. But people will still be able to call, do it online, or if it's very important, make an appointment with the town clerk. We're just not going to let people just
yeah.
walk
No,
in.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense? Do you agree?
It does me, unless Sue objects. Sue, do you object to that?
No, I think you're doing
No,
everything right.
I'm
You
okay.
know,
I'm only, I'm only teasing.
no, I mean, but you are doing everything right. You've brought in extra staff. You're, cutting down on the amount of chatting, and getting the work done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a busy, right around election. I think we're gonna be working 12, 14 hours a day.
Yeah. Do they have the ballots yet that as the absentee requests come in,
No.
they
we
can
don't
start
have-
stuffing? No. Okay.
You just see requests. The application for absentee ballots came out. And then they'll print the ballots, and as soon as we get them, we'll start mailing them out. And they're all hand addressed,
Hand addressed.
Yeah, they're gonna be hand addressed. It's the easiest way to do it. Because we have to
Really?
put a code on every single one. It's a long,
Okay.
involved, drawn out thing.
Okay.
And we have to track every single one that goes out and comes back in.
Do we have to pay for the stamps for these?
Not on the applications for the ballots. I believe we may have to pay for the stamps for the postage for the ballots going out. But the state, Denise Merrill, has given us grants to help offset that,
Mhm.
those costs. And we're asking people not to mail. Come stop by town hall and stick it in the ballot box. Don't, especially if it's within 5 days of election day. Let's not, I mean, the postal service is great, but you don't want to put your thing in the mail and it takes 6 days to get to us and we don't receive it by election day. It's easier if you're going to the post office, go across the street and drop it in our ballot box.
So the polls will close at 8 o'clock, whether it's something in the mail or not in the mail or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
And everybody in line at 8 o'clock will still get the vote, but I don't think that's going to be a problem at all.
Yeah.
I think that Huckleberry and the high school are going to be very light on walk-ins.
Yeah.
You do.
Which is, well, only if 80% vote by mail, only 20% are going to vote by walking in. And that's a good thing too, because our poll workers are mostly older.
Mhm.
And the less risk and exposure we put them under, the better. Right?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to also make you aware of, we have hired a new purchasing agent.
Oh, okay.
It started today.
Mhm.
Incredibly qualified person. Their background is in Six Sigma process, managing things, a lot of skills, very erudite, very competent. And the town knows him pretty well because he was president of the Center Fire Company.
Oh.
Jules Capados. We had 3 very qualified candidates that we interviewed last Wednesday. And then we got it down to 2 very qualified candidates, and it was really difficult to make the choice. But we chose Jules.
You just muted yourself, but so
I don't know what I
so
hit.
obviously town experience, municipal experience.
Not a lot of town or municipal experience, but a lot of corporate experience in a number of different categories. all of, with the exception of one, we had 3 final candidates. One of them had municipal experience, but we had some concerns on that. The other 2 did not, but both had really good skill sets that we thought would transfer very easily to purchasing and doing that. You know, it's all about process and policy and procedure and managing things and being bright, you know, and the 2 final candidates we have, both of them met our requirements fully. And we fully expect this is going to work out really, really well.
Steve, I just noticed that we do have 2 telephone numbers on. Is there anyone who had questions for us?
Yeah. Does anybody have a question or concern? Yeah, go ahead. 567? Who ends in 567, the phone?
This is Jean Hartnett, 58 Tower Road.
Hi, Jean.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
I'm wondering, are we going to at some point be able to bring plastic to the bins at Town Hall in the entryway there?
Yes. You know, we can put that outside, and at least starting on the 8th, the door will be open, so you'll be able to walk in and just stick it in there. So we're talking about, guys, the, you know, dry cleaning bags and the bags you get at the grocery store. We recycle them, and it's in
Jean?
that vestibule.
Can I make a comment to Jean? I know I had stopped by one time and I had several bags, and I was told then that they were not accepting the bags. And then I got a call a couple days later saying that that was misinformation, that they were taking the bags.
Yeah, so Jean, we have somebody manning the front desk now. And if you come up, she'll open the door and you can put it in. That's a good question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else you'd like to ask us?
Well, I was just curious, what's going on with 777 Federal Road?
Yeah, we're working with them. They've been doing some work. We're going to bring them before the blight panel because we want that place cleaned up. I don't want to hanging out with Tyvek hanging off the front. If you notice, they did redo some of the walkways and what would you call them, porches. So they're starting to do some work on it, not as fast as we would like them to. But we have not gotten any applications from them to do any substantive work at that site.
I'm totally confused with that building because I have no idea. I mean, they redid the parking lot, and then it looks like they're looking to do work on some of the existing stores or dwellings, whatever you want to call them. But why are they putting money? Why are they putting the money into it that they're putting into it? Do you have any idea what they're doing at all?
None whatsoever. None. They're just strange people. And I don't really care what they do as long as that building looks nice from the road, right? And is safe. And so we're going to go after them because, you know, this side is just tied.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it looks to me like they're trying to use what is there and renovate what is there.
That would be great.
Whatever, you know, whatever.
Making
That'd
it
be
look like
great.
they're doing something, but
Yeah. And Brookfield Village has started putting in their foundations.
Yeah, they're moving.
And they expect they'll be finished by end of next spring,
awesome,
which
great.
would be great.
Mhm.
So on that, on the pocket park, we have put out on the town website the request for input from residents about the artwork.
Mhm.
And so far, the 2 responses I've gotten so far were not positive.
Oh,
The main concern for both was it's not really New Englandy, it's not rural, it's an abstract piece of art. And while it may be beautiful, how does it tie into the town's history? Which are reasonable questions to ask, right? So
Yeah.
are we advertising that we're looking for input and that's where it is? If hopefully
yeah,
people
we
can
put
go
it
there?
in, I think we put it in Spotlight, and it is on the town website asking people. And we did ask the library, I'll double check that the library does send out to their mailing list, hey, give us your input, just send us an email. And all of those are supposed to come to my email address, and Ginny's going to put them together so that we can, oh, thank you, Kathy. Still cleaning the offices. And I'd like to get a few hundred responses, because 2 or 3 isn't really going to help us very much. But
Steve?
I think we'll put it out again in Spotlight.
Yeah.
And if it can get
Yeah.
out, if anybody's on Facebook, put it out on Facebook and say,
Mhm.
hey, the town is looking for input. Go to the town website. You can see what it is, what the artwork is, the description of it. They did a nice write-up on how they achieved the decision that they made to pick that one.
Steve, a lifetime ago, about 10 years ago on the Board of Ed, we were getting concerns with the summer reading program to maybe try to make it more attractive for the students and
Right.
because there were a lot of ballads and kind of really deep books that they were reading that weren't really fun reads. So the assistant superintendent, we all met, and I think I was on the Cape at the time. And we were going to have a seminar in April to discuss it. And we advertised, we were going to have teachers, couple parents, or not a couple, anybody who wanted to come, but students, a real mix, administrators. And we pushed that for about a month. And we ended up with 11 people.
Yeah.
Out of 3,000 students, 11 people came.
Yeah.
I mean, I was shocked. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it.
It's that sort of thing, if you don't catch people's fancy, and some things people hear about and it gets all over, it's kind of like the Board of Ed, when we had the problem with the guy coming on the Board of Ed meeting and being perverted, right? They had 100 people watching the Board of Ed meeting before that guy came on the Board of Ed meeting. And when they restarted up 15 minutes later, they had 300 people. So if you catch people's interest, they will give you feedback, but sometimes
It must not take much to get your interest if that's what you're, you don't have your bar set too high.
Harry,
Your
you make a very good point. You make a very good point. Gosh.
When are we going to be able to get back to having coffee with her for our coffee with the selectmen?
We were thinking, we're going to open up town hall on the 8th. And I wanted to, I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to discuss with you guys when you think we should start having board meetings in person. And I'm thinking starting November, right? Let's see how walk-in works for town hall, right? And then go ahead and in November, allow boards to meet in person. I think that would be a good way to do it and move slowly and carefully, because boards do want to meet in person, particularly like zoning and planning and inland wetlands. It's very difficult to do these things via Zoom, right?
Yeah,
What do you guys
I
think?
don't see any issue with it. I mean, as long as, we,
You'd
just,
have to socially distance,
Yeah,
which is fine in, 135.
Yeah. 133,
Tough
135.
here.
133.
Yeah. And,
Some of those. might be
we could
tight
even let
otherwise.
some of the boards, if they wanted, start in October, if you think that's a good idea. I don't think, the biggest ones is like zoning will sometimes get 10 or 15 people there. They would have a little bit of trouble distancing at the front table with 7 members. The audience isn't a problem, but they could probably figure it out, right? Work it out.
Well-
Inland wetlands, same thing. They're not getting tons and tons of people.
I
Right.
know, from my work, we tend to have about half the people going in. We alternate days that we go into the office, but,
Right.
so we have our Zoom meetings and half are on Zoom, half are in the office. I mean, you could have members still deciding to stay home if they want and,
Yeah.
still having a Zoom meeting that way.
Yeah, I guess if we did that, then everyone would still have to Zoom, right? Even if you were sitting in the room, so that people could watch from YouTube,
right.
right? I think it would, I don't know.
Does that get
Uh,
messy?
Steve, wouldn't you be able to put, let's say let's say they had 5 members who were going to come in person and 2 that were going to go be
Right.
on Zoom. Couldn't those people be on the screen behind the desk for the residents there and on the screen for, which we look at? And then you wouldn't have to, each individual wouldn't have to be on Zoom. You just have it right there.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to check that. I don't know if you can do a combo. Some people on Zoom and then feed that into the regular cameras. I don't know if we can do that. I think if we just had everybody on laptops Zooming and did the regular cameras, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. We have
I mean,
You
I
might
don't
have a
know-
lot of, you might have a lot of feedback.
I don't know a lot about technology, but I did sleep at a Holiday Inn last night. That's why.
I think it'd be hard to combine the two. I'm sorry,
yeah,
Sue, what was your point? I'm sorry.
I think you'd have a lot of
I-
feedback.
I was just trying to make light. I said, I don't know much about technology, but I did sleep at a Holiday Inn last night. So. I don't see why you couldn't. I mean, it's like a, isn't, I
You
don't,
have to merge two different feeds.
Yeah.
One Zoom, one, one, the
yeah, I
town
see what you're
cameras.
saying. I see what you're saying. Okay.
I just don't know if you
Yeah.
could do that.
And in the office, people space themselves so they don't,
Yeah.
hear, yeah, because there could be a slight delay. I don't know, but
Yeah, that
could
you
be,
get
yeah.
that
But Dan
latency.
or Dow Min could help you with that.
I'll check with Dan and Dalmin to see if there's some way to do that. But I'm open to boards having meetings in October if they can do it in a way that is safe and works for everybody.
I would completely agree with you, Steve. I think the earliest that we could do that and try to just start getting back to a normality would be good for the town.
Okay, so we'll
What
come
will
up with
this
a
do
process.
to, I'm sorry, what would this do to cleaning services?
I'm sorry, say again.
What will this do to cleaning services?
We still
have to
clean,
have-
we have staff cleaning, so it would not be a problem. It's mostly hard surfaces, and from the latest CDC guidance, surfaces are not as big a problem or anywhere near the magnitude that air to air is. So people would have their meeting. The next morning, we would come in and clean the rooms. We're doing that
Okay.
now between
Okay.
meetings as it is. So that we could handle pretty well. We have the staff up and running to do that.
Okay, you would have someone there to be able to clean every day.
Oh, yeah, we have them now. And we have somebody still going through the building, cleaning every surface every day.
Mhm.
So I'll look into that and see what we can or can't do. And then how do you feel about, I'll just send a note out towards the end of the week to the chairs of the boards and just get a feel which want to have meetings in person and which want to continue to use Zoom. And I think we should leave it up to them right now
Mhm.
as to, because if you've got a board of 5 members and 4 of them want to Zoom, maybe we should continue to let you
Mhm.
Zoom and then pick a date in November that, okay, now we're going all over to in-person.
Steve, maybe what we could do with coffee with the selectmen for a month or two is have it at the town hall
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we
rather
like-
than do it in the restaurants where you could possibly run into an issue with people having to, stand.
Yeah.
We got five.
Yeah, they had a
Yeah.
clarification of the rules. The limitations on the number of peoples does not apply to municipal meetings. Interesting, huh? But the safe distancing rules do apply,
Right.
right? So in 133, we could probably get 15 or 20 people besides us safely, and separate them.
What cloud are you? 15 people coming to a call. We're lucky if we get 3 people in a year.
Yeah,
Well, Jean will join us.
yeah, Gene will join us. Will
Yeah.
maybe will come.
Yeah. No, it would be.
So speaking of which, the other numbers, that other number, anyone that wanted to speak as well?
Yeah, whoever's number ends in 475. Oh, is that you, Jenny? Oh, Jenny's 475.
Oh, okay, does Ginny want to say anything?
Do you want to say anything, Jenny? She's shaking her head no.
Okay. Mr. Lucas?
Hey guys,
Mr.
are you?
Outdoors.
I'm actually cooking some pork loin right now. Well, burning some
Well-
pork loin.
We'll be over.
So, well, actually, I had a question. Do you think it is worth exploring the Facebook Live feature, maybe for some more transparency and connect with some users that may, for whatever reason, miss the YouTube broadcast? Might be something that worth exploring. Either setting up a town page that has the capability to broadcast live, and maybe just figure out a way to stream what we're all seeing here. The thing that's going on YouTube, have it also go on the Facebook Live platform, because I think it's possible you could be missing out on some audience
Mhm.
by using YouTube only. So I think it's worth exploring.
Yeah, we can do that. Can you record Facebook Live? I don't know anything about it.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Okay, we'll
I'm
look
assuming,
into that.
Dan or Damin would probably be the right person for that. But
Yeah, I know.
just
I know Matt Knickerbocker told me a couple of years ago he did a Facebook Live, but it wasn't a town event. It was while he was running and answering questions from people and stuff like that.
yeah. Well, I follow Mayor Mark, and he's always on every afternoon. He's delivering his 5 o'clock. He does like a live at 5 segment. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's something you should do, but it's certainly worth exploring because you can reach.
So we'll look into that. And then I'll talk to Sue and Harry and see if that's something we want to do.
Sure.
I'm all for getting out as much information as possible, but
Right.
I think it's just as easy to take our YouTube and attach it to Facebook, right?
It is, but in the age of convenience, sometimes
Yeah.
clicking an external link is a little too much.
Nobody wants to click. Oh my God, my
Right.
finger's dying. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll look at it, try it, see what kind of response we get,
Yeah,
and go from there.
I think it's worth looking
Now,
into.
it's live though, John, so could that
Correct.
be a problem if people are,
Yeah, but I think Mark
Well,
Fountain is
it's
just.
it's a
I'm only
It's a
thinking of
one-way-
the problem the Board
it's
of Ed
one way.
had.
Well, it's a one-way out stream.
Yeah.
You can't. I don't believe you can invite people to join your live stream. So it's just an outwards broadcast on
Oh, so
Facebook.
people couldn't ask questions.
No,
I think the only way they could would be if they comment, I guess,
Yeah,
that might
you can
be-
comment, which is helpful. So I wonder if we can push our YouTube out onto Facebook Live
that would be worth exploring. Yeah.
simultaneously.
I bet you there's got to be a way.
There's got to be a way, even if there's a little delay. Who cares? Your
Mhm.
comments can come in a second later.
Right.
Yeah, we'll look into that. That's a good idea, John.
All right.
There was a reason we had you.
There's more than that, believe me.
So, anything else you guys want to talk about?
I'm good right now.
Oh, since I'm on, so, and I'm asking this is random too. So the tree that fell down in front of the bowling alley,
Right.
That's obviously a state road, and it's private property. Do you know if that's going to be removed at any time, or is it structural
That's a
hazard?
good question. I asked Ralph Tedesco to look into that because it's clearly a state road and that house is 10 feet from the road. So it's either the responsibility of the state or the owners, the McCartys, to take that. In my opinion, that's a pretty dangerous tree, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It could roll off the house. It is mammoth.
Mhm.
So I asked Ralph to check into it with the state, and I have to check up with him again tomorrow to see what the state said, if it meets the criteria that they could just go in because it's dangerous and take it out.
I
Well,
thought it
then
was
you're
a-
gonna have to address the house too, because that is crushed.
Yeah, and you know what the problem with that house is? It's on the National Historic Register. So
Oh,
anything you do to that house has to return it to the way it was. You can't just take it down or, you have to go through that whole process, and that's
right.
long and arduous.
Well, that's going to be not only an eyesore, but that could be dangerous for anybody trying to sneak into the building perhaps to see what's
Yeah, we
going on
have
in
had
there.
that problem in the past.
Mhm.
Steve, I thought regardless of how close the house is to the road, anything within 40 feet of the center of the road was the jurisdiction of the state.
Well, the state, interestingly enough, the state, like the town,
Grandfathered?
we have an easement, right?
Right,
Off of each side of our roads. And that easement allows us to take down trees, do whatever we want. The state has, I believe, very similar rules,
right.
right? But the state might be looking at this and saying, hey, it's not endangering my road, state road. If it continues to fall, it's still not going to endanger the state road.
But if a tree falls in your yard and that is in that easement area and it falls back into your yard, that is the responsibility of, it's just like if a tree is dangerous, I believe that still is the responsibility of the state.
Well, the law is, and I had this happen, one of my trees fell into my next door neighbor's yard. 80% of the tree was in his yard. You know what the law says? That's his problem.
Right,
I was only responsible for the first 20% of it.
right.
I took care of the tree. That's not the right thing to do with your neighbor. And we're still checking to see what the law and the rules are because we have to do something there, right? It can't sit that way.
Well, wouldn't our tree, what's his name? Our tree person, wouldn't,
Yeah.
no?
Yeah, we're gonna get a new tree person, but Ralph has looked at it and I think, I don't have his written report yet, but there's no doubt in my mind it's dangerous at some point to someone, right? We can't leave it like, and it looks like hell too.
Maybe we should get our state representative on the job.
Yeah, get him on the DOT.
I mean, ask Steve if he finds something out for us.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine. I'll look at it from our end too.
All right, I'll call Steve tonight.
Yeah, I think that house that's a lot of damage to that house.
That's a real lot of damage.
And
That whole half a roof in the front there.
yeah, about a
Yeah.
third of that thing is crushed.
Oh, and if it rains, I mean, the house is destroyed.
And the problem is you have to bring it back to the way it was. With, you know what? You have to put wood siding, you have to do period correct windows.
Is the house, the owner willing to do that?
No. My
Yeah,
opinion is,
depends on what kind of insurance he has, because if I'm sure that there is a specialized insurance for historic district dwellings or residents, and I'm sure I would assume they would have it.
we'll check with the owners, but our previous experience has been is that they own 20 Station Road also. And we've been after them to repair that or knock it down for over 3 years, and they've done nothing on that.
Yeah,
If the past is any indication in the future, I think that's going to be a hard road to hoe. But we'll try.
yeah.
We'll try.
At what point do they deem it unrepairable? I mean, is there just one piece of wood still standing up that you have to completely, you don't know?
I honestly, I don't know. I just know usually with these National Historic thing, they want it brought back to the way it would be originally. And I'm not an expert on it.
Yeah,
we
how
should
about
call Skippo
you
and
know,
they'll-
we have our historical group in town that deals with, the center of Brookfield.
can
Maybe
ask
they'll have
them.
some ideas. Jackie, and is Kevin Archer still on that?
Yeah.
Jackie Selmy?
We can ask them what they think,
Yeah.
what the rules are. I'll
It's
ask
only
them.
going to get worse in the winter. My gosh, you
Oh,
get
yeah.
any, snow
At
piling up
least
on
you'd
that,
like
the
to see 'em-
weight?
Yeah, at least you'd like to see them take the tree out and cover it with tarps to prevent future damage. But so far, I haven't seen a single thing done to that.
Oh,
I do understand
what a
that
shame.
the bowling alley has been sold though.
Oh,
The same family owns the bowling alley. And I heard this week that it was sold to an investor who wants to keep it as a bowling alley.
really?
Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah. Bring that moonlight bowling.
I remember I used to go down and do Monday night bowling for the rod and reel.
Yeah.
As a fill-in.
I know.
Well, I hope they can, pretty it up a little bit.
It would be really nice. It would be really nice. Okay. Anything else we need to cover? Anybody in the public still have a question or concern? No? So shall we call it a day, guys?
I'm ready.
Okay,
I think
so I'll
so.
take a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I got
I'll
a second. Second. All
Second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll be meeting again in a couple weeks, and I'll keep you up to date on everything we're doing.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Talk to you
Thank you.
soon.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye, guys.
Be safe, everyone.
Night.